Hey guys, welcome back to Legendary Tabletop. I'm Greg, your host, and today we return to the city of the damned, Mordheim. Now, my Mordheim build is probably my favorite thing that I've ever built in my crafting career, so to speak. But lately I've been craving to build something new, something a little bit different. So we are going to start a journey to build a new Mordheim board here on the channel. It's going to take a few videos. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be really different, but I think it's going to be very fun, and the end result is going to be amazing. With that being said, I'd like to welcome you guys to Mordheim in Lustria.
So if you go to broheim.net, they have these town crier magazines, which were part of White Dwarf, and there's just a lot of expansion on the lore, new warbands, and on Broheim, the website specifically, there is this campaign section which includes all the information that you need to play Mordheim, not in Mordheim. So the fans and some of the creators expanded the game to have different locations, and one of the locations obviously was Lustria, the home of the Lizardmen, and yeah, just very cool stuff in here. Just I believe there's a new dark elf warband here presented in this Town Crier magazine as well. And what is this? I'm gonna scroll back to foulness. Oh, this is cool. So this is like a campaign setting where you use like a dungeon instead of the city. Very interesting. But yeah, so they have different rules here. You can roll for like rooms, and it gives you different encounters. Very cool. Alright, so here we come to Lustria, Cities of Gold. Now, this is sort of like a part of Warhammer lore that is not as expanded upon as much as the rest of the old world. So there's this kind of realm of mystery to the jungles. And so this board we're going to build is going to have obviously a jungle vibe to it, and maybe once we get the board built, we're going to maybe build a few different warbands that are presented in here. But there's all sorts of different rules for jungle terrain. They have rivers, quicksand for impassable terrain, difficult ground rules, rubble, swamps. There's a lot of stuff that you would not see. Rules for swimming, climbing trees and vines. Obviously, it's the jungle. Rules for combat in water. Interesting. Okay. Carnivorous plants. Oh, that is just awesome. We're gonna have to build some of those in one of. That's so cool. They have stats for it. Different scenarios. This is very like a little map. This is very in depth. New skills for your that your warband can get. Yeah, so check this out. I'll put a link obviously in the below, and then they even go further to have some pictures of some boards. Here's that dark elf warband that we were talking about that they included in here. And in Broheim, I don't think it's on here, but in broheim.net you can go to, there is an actual warband section, and I believe they do have or I don't believe, I know that they do have a Lizardmen. Oh, nice. And they have pictures of these are the old metal models, different games. They had like Siege equipment. Oh, cool. Battlefield Gothic. Different. Here's another warband for a different portion of the Empire. So yeah, very cool. There's all sorts of resources and inspiration in Broheim. And they have other ones too. They have like a dwarven city and stuff. There's all sorts of cool campaigns. I believe there's a campaign that's in Sylvania, so it's like undead castles and stuff. So maybe we'll do something like that down the line here. And but now we're gonna get into the Lustria board, and we're gonna use some of this stuff for inspiration. But this is also Mordheim, though, so we want to think about a few of the things that are most important to Mordheim gameplay. So I'm actually gonna do some planning here. I want this to be modular. We want to be kind of like inspired by pyramids, the pyramids in Egypt, the pyramids in Central America. There's also these amazing pyramids that not a lot of people know about in Tibet. Now, I want to use, I have this sort of forest board that's modular that I already have built for D&D that has like a little river in it. So we're going to use that to be the foundation so that we don't have too much to do here. We could also, but the stuff is going to be modular enough that I could use it with that and also my Mordheim city board. But we're going to have different color stone, and I'm thinking kind of like a different shape but still pyramid, but there's got to be all sorts of little nooks and crannies and like balconies of elevation for characters to sneak and scurry, and but we're going to keep the bottom. The base is going to be square, and these are I'm kind of like thinking of the different shape here, and I think I'm kind of coming along with there's going to be sort of like these 4 pillars, and then I'm going to connect everything with balconies and doorways so that there's all these little line of sight places for combat. And then in the future, I've sketched a couple things too. On the bottom right there is kind of maybe my vision for what the board is going to look like all put together, because it's going to be this whole different vibe with jungle stuff. We're going to want like vines and plants and sand, maybe sort of a deserty vibe as well. So maybe if I want to use this in some sort of like Tomb King situation, that could be done as well. And then here I'm kind of thinking about the future, maybe sort of like these towers that everything's got to be elevated, everything's got to have like ladders and staircases so that we can go up and down with models. And I think that's what most people agree upon is what is the fun thing about Mordheim. These the treehouse effect is what I'll call it. And yes, so here we go. Now we're gonna start with just like some basic pyramids, and as we move along in this series, this is going to be the first part of the board build series. We'll do different stuff, like we'll do a big centerpiece pyramid, we'll do like temples and stuff. They have obviously like the spawning pools where the lizardmen grow their lizard people and towers and all that sort of thing. So and the carnivorous plants, don't forget about the carnivorous plants. That's so fun. But yeah, so make sure that you are subscribed, because we're going to be coming out with these Mordheim and Lustria videos as we come along here. And I'm just slowly kind of building the shapes, and I'm using this sort of design philosophy, just a real quick design philosophy class here. Is like there's kind of this rule of like thirds and 2/3, where you want to build different elements of the architecture, like these little triangles are essentially going to be like a third of either the length or the width of some of these pieces, and then they will naturally kind of flow and fit together. And that's kind of a rule that you use for illustration when you use drawings. You have one piece in the forefront or the background. This is going to be 1/3 the size. You make the sky in your in your painting is going to be like 2/3 of the sky, and the ground is going to be 1/3. It's just aesthetically pleasing to the eye. And we've built little platforms on this guy, all sorts of little places for models to stand. So on the bottom, there's basically essentially like 3 levels, and then an inner piece or an inner hallway where models can sneaky. And then my vision too is that, you know, that we can make little bridges essentially in the future that can connect these temples, pyramids, whatever you want to call them. And we want to get really detailed here. I'm going to try and get crazy with the details here. We're going to just go really deep with this. I want these temples to be awesome. And I cut a bunch of strips, and I'm putting those on the doorways, framing some of the pieces. And then I have some of these 3D printed pieces that have this sort of like Aztec, Lizardmen, Mayan-inspired vibe, Olmec-inspired vibe. And I don't have a lot of them, though, so I'm going to save these for some of the pieces that we're going to build in the future. Probably like the centerpiece. We're going to do like a big centerpiece pyramid with all sorts of little places for people for our little dudes to battle. But I'm checking these out because I'm going to copy the design aesthetic. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little piece of foam. I'm going to carve out a bunch of squares on here, and I'm going to put on a podcast and some headphones and grab a little ballpoint pen, and I'm going to copy a lot of these design aesthetics and make all sorts of little like glyphs, I guess is what you might call this, to adorn our pyramids. And I'm going to actually make a bunch of extra ones so I can be like a step ahead as we build the rest of this Lizardmen city for Mordheim in Lustria. And I think, man, I'm just really excited about this. This is going to be a very unique build. I haven't seen a lot of stuff like this out there. There is some like photos and things in White Dwarf of older boards, but in the modern day I haven't seen a lot of stuff. There's some like 3D printed stuff out there. But yeah, so I got some cool stuff here. We're going to set some of this aside for future builds, but we're going to use some of these to be sort of these signs on our temples / pyramids, whatever the heck these things are. But also part of this is I'm trying to make these sort of vague enough too with the shapes so that these could be used for other games. You know, maybe this could be sort of like an Eldar temple for 40k or Grimdark Future. It could be something along the same lines for Dungeons and Dragons. We want to have these not going to be just for Mordheim. We're not going to try and build some stuff that is just going to be single use, despite being quite specific. So we need to we got to have that balance of like specific but not that specific. Can we be any more vague? And but yeah, so here we're going, and we're gonna create some steps, and I'm being as careful as I can be here with my little X-Acto blade, and just slowly kind of creating a vibe between all of these, not to speak like a TikTok dancer or something. Vibes, bruh. But yeah, it's coming along here. We've got the little platforms, and now I'm gonna do my little candle trick. I believe this originally has come from who they call the Godfather, Scotty, DM Scotty, the original YouTube crafter, and slowly just clipping off these things, trying to be careful. I'm gonna make a ton of these, and basically they're gonna go on top of those little temple sign piece things, whatever you want to call them. And then I'm going to use hot glue to create the wax drippies. Yes, that's the technical term, drippies. And yeah, these are coming along. And then getting out my little tool. Love this little tool. If you do get one of these, make sure your room is ventilated, that you're using this. Open up a window and do wear a mask. And we're gonna do sort of a cobblestone rock type texture for all of these platforms and essentially the surfaces where models can rest. And I'm also cleaning off some of the edges going along here, and yeah, just getting nice little patterns. And then on the rest of the piece, we're going to do sort of lines, but a lot of the detail too I'm going to get very specific with, where I'm going to just do sort of the main details, brick patterns with the hot tool, and then I'm going to switch to permanent marker and ballpoint pen, because we're going to get probably a little bit too fine in our detail in order to get to do the small details, because it would be too hot to use this. Some things could require a little more finesse, and it's going to take a long time. And then we got we put some models on there to check out, make sure that dudes can fit. We got a little old school Hero Quest goblin. I do have that old Hero Quest missing a few pieces and a little beat up, but my parents were kind enough to keep that. A couple other models. That's like a bugbear and a work from. There's this other old game that's Hero Questy from the early 90s. And now that I've made most of the brick pattern, grabbing my little tinfoil ball, and a lot of this is not very sturdy yet because it's only held together with hot glue. So I'm bracing some of the pieces and holding them together so I don't bust this thing apart. And now I'm moving on to the ballpoint pen details, and we're trying to make this appear old. We're trying to put on that Indiana Jones aesthetic. Wouldn't that be cool? Like a role-playing game or like a tabletop game that's like Indiana Jones inspired. Maybe you like dive into like little temples and stuff, and but there's supernatural elements like there are in Indiana Jones. That would be cool. That would be cool. Make characters that are scoundrels. Yes, and so yeah, just getting along, being very gentle. Now the key with using the ballpoint pen is sort of you kind of start gentle at first, and then because if you go with too much pressure, you'll just you'll slide right off the foam kind of in a way, or you'll basically imprint where you don't want to imprint. So you be gentle at first, and you can kind of slowly add pressure. And I just add little squares and geometric details to some of the pillars that are framing the doors. And then now I'm using my low temperature hot glue gun to create some vines to get the jungle, to make this appear that it's overgrown. There's stuff growing all over it from the jungle. And I do have that big Ryobi hot glue gun, but for stuff like this little baby hot glue gun works perfectly. And now that most of the details are complete, I'm going to get some tacky glue watered down a little bit and start adding some of the rubble and runes and sand, that sort of thing. And we're going to do this in a few layers. I'm going to first put a layer of just this like pebble, like aquarium pebbles on the side, so I can kind of like create like a little bit of slope. We want to make this look older. And so I let that dry. The tacky glue, if you set it it's it's wintertime here in Chicago where I'm at, so we got the heat blasting. So if you just set this next to a vent, the tacky glue dries really quickly. And then I will add sand and rocks and stuff to kind of create these sort of places where sand and debris have rested over time to make this thing look a little bit more aged, and also to sort of set the scale a bit to fool our eye on how exactly this looks. And then now we've applied our 100% American made freedom paste on there, sealed it up, a little bit of the glue and the black paint, the water, seal it up real nice. And yeah, we have a couple of these, so this is like going to be the base of our Lustria city. A few buildings that look the same. They're going to fill some space. They're all going to be great looking and elevated, and we'll be able to build the rest of the buildings in our series here on the upcoming videos. So make sure you subscribe below. Subscribe. And we're going to use these to create the aesthetic for the rest of our board. Now, for the painting, we're gonna go with this like sort of sandstone warm tone for the stone in the building and in this quote unquote pyramid, though it's not really a pyramid. There are some triangles in there, but not really a pyramid. And so yeah, I'm just using a little gradient here. I start with a mid brown, then moving to like an orange brown, and then it's going to be a tan on the top. Now my other Mordheim board is a lot, it's very dark and gloomy and moldy and stuff. So it's like I put a really dark wash on this. Now this going with this forest board that I had built, which we will show at the end of the building with that beautiful bean footage once we have these all complete, is a lot brighter. The painting style is much brighter. So we're going to skip the wash on this, and we're going to do some more detailing to create the illusion. And then so we're balancing the warm tone of this tan sandstone kind of thing, granite. I'm not sure exactly what it could be, but stone. It's stone. And then now I'm getting some green paint, and I'm hitting all those hot glue vines. And then to kind of bring out the warmth and create the balance, I grabbed some red paint and I sporadically placed that on the stone. Now afterwards, once I sat on this for like a day or two, I thought that it was just much too strong. So I did go back with some of that brown paint and mute some of that red. It just came out a little bit too strong. But just to not make this video an hour long, we're not going to show that. But just take note if you're going to build this for yourself. And then I'm using turquoise, teal, seafoam green, wherever you call it in your part of the world. And I'm doing the candles. And now I have these like Dollar Tree, Dollarama. I know somebody commented below, red dot in Australia, and just these fake plastic plants. Now, this is going to be super tedious. Do this for like hours, but same thing like I did with the little signs, the little hieroglyphs. I'm just going to do this for like an hour and try to get as much as I can, so that when I build the rest of the board, I have a bunch of this already ready to go. And if I had bought these already ready, it would have been so expensive. This costs like $5 or something. And then some of these are weird, like they look weird when I'd put them, like with the size, they look like too big. So then I figured out that if I took scissors and I cut them like in this kind of fern style, that the size worked a lot better. And then combining that with the tufts and some of these little pieces, and just like some hot glue, we start adding the plants. And you can see here, I haven't yet dulled down the red. We're going to dull down that red, so ignore that red. And yeah, it's coming along. And then this is just kind of the first layer. Same thing. As I sat and watched these and looked at them and absorbed how they looked, I eventually added more. And then here you see I've dulled down the red. I grabbed a permanent marker, and since we're not going to do the wash for these, we want these to be a lot brighter. You know, they're going to be like in the jungle sun. And I'm using the permanent marker just to very carefully pick out some of the details. You know, I work so hard on all these little like hieroglyphs and signs that I want them to appear, to be visible. And then I have these little leaves. I believe I got these from Temu. I'm gonna have to order like 1 million more though, because I used, just for these 3 pyramids, I used like half a thing. If we're gonna build a whole city, I'm gonna need maybe like 3-4 of those. So we're gonna order these and get some more. But hopefully, thankfully, these Mordheim videos I'm recording a little bit ahead for the Lustria build, because it's such a big build, and so there'll be no delay for you guys. And we have some green stuff, little skulls. I wanted to get better at sculpting, so I tried to make these skulls. They look kind of terrible, but I think they'll work.
So we've completed our pyramids, and we've set everything up with our forest and our river tiles, and I'm really excited for how this has turned out. And make sure, if you haven't already, to hit the like, hit the subscribe, because we're going to continue this Lustria Mordheim board build for the next few weeks. And also check out some of our old Mordheim videos if you're interested in that sort of thing. Lots of stuff like that on the channel, and it's, yeah, we're very excited about this. So thanks for watching. You guys know what time it is. We're gonna roll our beautiful bead footage.